Welcome to the show. Today we are talking about 10 underrated games for the PlayStation 4. Valiant Hearts doesn't really offer anything new as far as gameplay is concerned, but it doesn't need to. Its strengths lie in its narrative, showcasing the horrors of the war in a way that is approachable to anyone. The artistic style is minimal and coupled with a truly stellar soundtrack that really helps elevate the game during its more serious moments. Unlike the majority of war-based games where you basically plow through waves of nameless enemies, for the most part you're trying to stay away from violence, and when you do face enemies it's usually in a non-lethal manner. The human element of the war is given top priority, but this doesn't mean that the game isn't violent. On occasion you will be surrounded by death, such as dodging gunfire by using a mountain of corpses as cover. Situations like this really help communicate the horrors of the war. All in all, it's a very respectful game that pays homage to the realities of the conflict and the many people who fought for our freedom. There are many who argue that true art in any form is only art because it remains unexplained by the artist. Abzu is true art in that sense. Sure, there is a story told here, but I sincerely hope the developer never elaborates on their inspiration, because it's the kind of story that will mean different things to different people. Abzu's combination of visuals and music is totally sublime, with the score feeling dynamic, seamless, and its ambient presence managing to fit the gorgeous ocean setting perfectly. It definitely draws inspiration from Journey, and with the same artist and musician behind it, that was to be expected. But in my opinion, Abzu never reaches the highs experienced in Journey, but still manages to offer a beautiful and intoxicating vibe that's more about relaxing and taking in the sights. Gameplay wise, swimming feels simple, seamless, and handles incredibly well. Once you master the controls, exploring the environments feels incredibly satisfying. Some of the game's set pieces will truly astound you. The sense of life and beauty depicted within the world is something that truly needs to be experienced yourself. To sum it up, if you enjoyed Journey, you'll definitely love Abzu. Chaotic, cheesy, and insane. That's the best way to describe the Earth Defense 4 series. And with 4.1 on the PS4, XSEED Games have crafted one of the finest entries in the franchise. The whole purpose of this game is to entertain, and in that sense it truly delivers. Some people may be put off by its graphical quality and controls that at first can be quite annoying, but after spending some time with it you are sure to be swept up in how over the top everything is. From the 1950s sci-fi inspired enemies to the god-awful B-movie voice acting, there is so much to love about the game's presentation that the insane amount of content included only sweetens the deal. With nearly 1,000 weapons to collect for the 4 classes that are available and almost 100 missions to delve into, Earth Defense Force 4.1 is great value for the price of admission, and even goes as far to include an online co-op mode that has resulted in some of the most seriously hilarious moments I've had whilst gaming. If you can look past the game's many faults, you will find an action-packed, fun, and intense experience waiting to be enjoyed. Metro is a great series and it really shines on the PlayStation 4. Combining the 2 games in the series as well as the DLC all into one package, Metro Redux offers an insane amount of value when you take this into consideration. The first game can seem dated and awkward, but its mood, atmosphere, and survival horror mechanics make for a very distinctive FPS. The second loses some of the creeping tension, but makes up for it with exceptionally crafted stealth combat. Story-wise, the games will consume you, but not with huge explosions and jaw-dropping action. Instead, it is the atmosphere that takes center stage. The first time you exit from the darkness of the metro into the nuclear wasteland of Moscow is truly incredible. Although some of the original problems still plague Redux, such as the terrible AI and questionable narrative quirks, you can tell that 4A games have poured their hearts into both remakes, and with the amount of content on offer, it is definitely worth checking out. Brought to us by Crow Team, the guys behind Serious Sam, comes the Talos Principle. It has to be one of the finest puzzle games ever created, and right from the start you can tell the game is going to deliver something memorable as well as unique. The puzzles themselves are beautifully designed and will provide you with some truly head-scratching moments, and throughout the game they will get progressively more difficult, but not to the point of complete and total insanity. More often than not, video games deliver their stories through the use of cutscenes. The Talos Principle instead invites the player to dig into the depths of the archives in order to unravel the many philosophical and religious layers that make up the narrative. The whole experience becomes a lot better upon delving into these archives, so I'd highly recommend doing it to get the most out of the game. At the start, you take control of a robot with a seemingly human personality, exploring a number of environments that are sealed off by doors that require sigil pieces. These pieces can be found by navigating mazes and overcoming obstacles in the world. At this point, everything else that I have to say about the game will only serve as spoilers, so you really need to try this one out for yourselves. Fury is brutally hard. It will ruin your life and probably suck every ounce of confidence out of you, but at the same time captivate you with its gorgeous visuals. There is no customization, no loot, no leveling up, just the basic controls and your skill. The developer game bakers have managed to create something where every new level is as diverse as it is familiar, with beautiful varying backdrops and enemies that all have their own distinct personalities, which are incredibly unpredictable and at times just batshit crazy. The combat is deep and promotes the need to learn the patterns of each boss in order to progress, though ultimately the overall experience depends on your patience, reflexes and willingness to learn. Fury is truly one of those games that needs to be played. Admittedly, it won't be everyone's cup of tea, but if you're a fan of Devil May Cry or Bayonetta, I say there's enough on offer here that warrants a purchase. Mad Max is fun and addictive. The world is truly gorgeous, immersive, and so brilliantly designed you can't help but want to keep exploring. If you're a fan of the movie franchise, you'll feel right at home as the game perfectly captures the essence of the films. The music, environment, and situations all perfectly line up within the confines of the franchise that it really does feel true to its source material. The car combat is surprisingly fun and offers the player a lot of options in the way of customization that sees you adding armor and even harpoons to the vehicle in order to take out enemies in spectacular fashion. Hand-to-hand combat is just as brutal, with each punch feeling like there is some genuine weight behind it, and the variety of combat upgrades in terms of finishes makes it seem even more impressive. Visually, Mad Max looks gorgeous, from the sun-bleached desert to the explosions and debris sent flying after you slam into an enemy vehicle. All the animations are fluid as well, from Max simply getting out of the car, transitioning to hand-to-hand combat, it all seems to flow seamlessly. All in all, I love this game and would highly recommend it to someone looking for an open world experience on the PlayStation 4. Drive Club is a really divisive game. There are people who swear by it and others who wouldn't touch it with a barge pole, and it's not hard to see why, as when the game was launched it was nothing other than a fucking mess, and unfortunately this is what most people consider when talking about the game. Revisiting Drive Club all this time later, it is clear to see the amount of love and effort that has gone into redeeming one of the more promising PS4 launch titles. You'd be doing yourself a disservice by completely writing this game off without going back to check it out. One aspect of Drive Club I love the most has to be the clubs, in which you can either create or join. During each race you are presented with several objectives that will contribute to your team's reputation. Having a few friends who are serious about the game really makes the experience better, as you all constantly try to add to your team's reputation to become the best. The most important characteristic of any driving game has to be its gameplay, and Drive Club does not disappoint. You won't find yourself slipping and sliding all over the fucking place like Ridge Racer, or coming up against unforgivingly realistic handling. It's more of a hybrid between the two. As you can see, the game is gorgeous, and with the amount of content that has been added with several free updates, you will find it hard to run out of things to do. Dying Light is truly an underrated game for the PlayStation 4. In my opinion, it is absolutely fantastic and manages to really shine with its unique gameplay and strong atmosphere. The premise is pretty simple. You've got to survive a zombie onslaught, which involves looking for resources, making do with the weapons you have at hand, and finally weaving strategically through large hordes of zombies. It's a pretty tired premise that's been done to fucking death, but Dying Light offers something different. What really makes it stand out is the gameplay, which feels like a cross between Skyrim and Mirror's Edge. You'll be parkouring all over the fucking place in no time, thanks to the easy pick up and play controls that manage to feel natural, making combat and navigation within the world a total breeze. The sense of progression within the game is handled by ability trees that offer the player a magnitude of specific upgrades which contribute to the effectiveness of your abilities, as well as the speed in which you can traverse the environments. Story-wise, Dying Light manages to stay quite compelling throughout its duration, but there's nothing here that is going to set the world on fire. If you like games that are about fun rather than award-winning narratives, buy this now. You will not regret it. Brothers sees you taking control of two characters simultaneously through the use of the two analog sticks on the controller. This aspect turned quite a few people away, but if you're willing to invest the time in learning the at first tricky control method, you will find one of the best experiences ever conceived. As the title suggests, the game is about family, responsibility, love, loss, and most importantly, growing up. It perfectly depicts how the age difference among siblings can create qualities that complement each other, both at a physical and mental level. The older brother is stronger, knows how to swim, while the younger can pass through small gaps. The older brings maturity, while the younger brings joy. This aspect truly shines throughout the game and results in some unique situations that will stay with you even after turning the game off. Visually, everything is quite simplistic, cartoonish in a sense, but this does not detract from what is depicted throughout the duration of the journey. Brothers managed to remind me of my time with Ico, a truly stunning masterpiece for the PlayStation 2. Although not as good, it still delivers a memorable experience that should not be missed.